gosh, talk about a way to start off the college football season. Ever since we got the news that Coach Prime was going to Colorado, there has been nothing but news on a daily basis coming from Boulder, Colorado, and now everybody was trying to decide, is this team the real deal or are they just all talk? And TCU was coming up of a similar thing, you know? They were in the national championship last year, got absolutely blown out. They're trying to figure out, is TCU... Let's get into this game. First and foremost, I know that Colorado's not going to be in the Big 12 until next year, but they play like a Big 12 team. Amazing offense, no defense. They're going to fit right into the Big 12. Both of these teams were not backing down, and anytime that they needed to make a stand, they did. Every time that they needed a first down, a touchdown, anytime that they needed to respond, both of these teams did. Both Colorado and TCU had over 500 total yards in this game. Honestly, this is one of the most exciting college football games, period. Forget opening week games, this was one of the most entertaining and exciting college football games that I have seen in a while. From start to finish, I was on the edge of my seat, not knowing where this game was going at all. And I want to take a second to give all the props and shout out in the world to Coach Prime. The way that he had those boys go out there and win this game showed nothing but heart. This game was not given to them, and they went out there and they took a win in a hostile TCU environment. Guys, leave this video a like for these two teams going out there and absolutely making the opening week of college football the most exciting week that I've seen in a while. Also, comment down below. I need to hear what your guys' thoughts are on this game, and hit that subscribe button and turn your notifications. We're going to be doing a breakdown of all of the major week 1 games. It might take me a day or two to get to all of them, but we will be having a breakdown of them. So hit that subscribe button and turn your notifications so you do not miss when we drop those videos. All right, let's jump straight into it, and we're first going to talk about TCU. So TCU is coming off of an anomaly year where they absolutely tear up college football and find themselves not only in the college football playoffs, but they find themselves in the national championship. Obviously, they got dusted 65-7 to Georgia, but you know, they at least they made it. And so coming back, they lost their star quarterback Max Duggan and their star wide receiver in Quentin Johnston. They also lost their running back. Like, this team lost a lot on that offensive side of the ball, and they just lost a lot of the talent that took them to the college football playoffs. So there was a lot of questions coming into this game as to how good does this TCU team look? And honestly, this team surprised me a lot. Chandler Morris is the quarterback that is going to be replacing Max Duggan. He actually was the starter last year until Max Duggan came in and took the starting role. But in this game, Chandler threw 24 for 42, throwing for 279 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He also had 5 carries for 30 yards and 1 touchdown. Overall, in this game, Chandler Morris played extremely well. However, those 2 interceptions are the difference of this game being a TCU win versus a Colorado win. There was many other points that I'm gonna get to as well that were these like turning points because this game was so close. I want to say there was 7 lead changes in the 4th quarter alone or something crazy like that. But Chandler Morris, first off, Colorado stops TCU's offense 3 and out on the opening drive, and then Colorado goes out there and scores on their opening drive. On the following drive, where TCU, they came out, they were looking good, they were moving the ball down the field effectively. Right when TCU is about to make that game-tying touchdown, boom, he throws an interception to, I believe, Trevor Woods in the red zone. That's just a huge momentum, just takes all the air out of your offense. That is a big interception. Again, another time where TCU was about to go ahead and take the lead. Boom, he throws another interception, which was just a miraculous play by Travis Hunter. It's gonna be hard not to mention Colorado while we're talking about TCU, but I will do my best. We will have a full breakdown of TCU on the back half of this video. But focusing on TCU, Chandler Morris overall did a really good job. He was very composed on the back half of this game. I was honestly just very impressed with how well he was able to keep that offense going. Obviously, they relied on a more balanced mix of their quarterback play with their running back play. Their star running back, Amani Bailey, had 14 carries for 164 yards, and Shedeur Sanders had 15 carries for 46 yards, but had 3 rushing touchdowns to go along with it. Overall, when it came to TCU on that offensive side of the ball, they just simply had too many mistakes for a game that was this close. Those little mistakes are going to be the things that, when you add them all up, are the reason why you end up losing by 3 rather than winning by 3, or winning by even potentially more. I mean, in all honesty, don't get me wrong, Colorado went out there and won this game, but TCU put them in a position to win this game. TCU had 10 penalties for 78 yards. A lot of that came in the first half, where TCU could have really got on that gas pedal and went up 7, 10 points, maybe even 14 points to give themselves a little bit of cushion for that dynamic Colorado offense. But TCU just kept on shooting themselves in the foot right where they were able to make a stand and be like, okay, bet, let's go out there and take an early lead, or at least get out ahead. They kept on false starts, a lot of pre-snap penalties. It wasn't even like face mask penalties or like unnecessary roughness penalties, which they did get, but it was just a lot of pre-snap penalties, which at home you would think that you would be the one that would be causing Colorado to be getting these pre-snap penalties. But no, TCU had a lot of pre-snap penalties, a lot of snap infractions, a lot of false starts. A lot of those things were stalling drives, getting the offense out of the rhythm, and just completely taking the air out of that offense, to where even though they were in a great rhythm, I mean, they put up 42 points. Like, clearly their offense was firing. It was more so the fact that they needed to get to 50. They needed to get to 56. Colorado was going to respond each time, and the few times that Colorado was able to stop TCU, a big part of that was because TCU was shooting themselves in the foot and not putting themselves in advantageous positions. But now let's take a second to kind of just talk more so about the pros of TCU, and then we'll talk about the cons a little bit later. One of the biggest pros is obviously TCU can run the ball. Between Amani Bailey and Shedeur Sanders, you have a highly dynamic backfield that you had obviously I'm missing the TCU running back from last year's name. He was extremely talented. Shedeur Sanders, he's fully healthy, he's fully recovered, and he's looking ready to show everybody why he was the #1 running back in his class. And then Amani Bailey was just running strong and running explosive. It's just a pure consistent runner. But TCU has the RB talent to have one of the best backfields in the Big 12. TCU all game, but especially on the back half of this game, was constantly able to get push on Colorado's defensive line, and they were able to run very effectively. I honestly, which is crazy to think that a team that had 262 rushing yards, I would be telling to run the ball more, but I honestly believe that 74 of those 262 yards came from one run. So you're looking at 190 yards. Colorado's defensive line was extremely weak, especially on the back half of this game. I thought that TCU, their best bet was just to take the ball out of Shedeur Sanders in that Colorado offense's hands. They needed to make sure that TCU, or that Colorado, did not have a chance to respond on offense, and the best way to do that is by continuously tiring out Colorado's defensive line by running the ball. They needed to run the ball more. They needed to focus on running the ball from the beginning. It felt like they were trying to keep up with this like super like, hey, quick pace. They were trying to keep up with Colorado rather than playing their own game. Don't get me wrong, TCU was playing extremely fast in the first half. A lot of no huddle, a lot of just get to the ball, run a play. I think that's the wrong thing to do versus Colorado. Other teams, yes, Colorado can match that tempo. And so all you're doing is just getting the ball back into Colorado's hands, and they show that they can respond. When you're going up against another high-profile offense, the best thing that you can do, especially when you have a slight defensive advantage and you have a running advantage especially, take the ball out of their hands, run the ball, burn the clock out, give Colorado's offense less and less time to be able to respond. I think that they should have been doing that from the first half. It took them too long to make that adjustment, and then obviously the 2 picks that Chandler Morris threw, those those are the things that when you look back at it are the reasons why TCU did not win this game at home. On top of that, obviously, TCU's defense gave up 45 points. However, Colorado's offense is different. Obviously, this is a week 1 game, but Colorado is going to have one of the best offenses in the Pac-12 and just honestly one of the best offenses in the entire country. But they got 4 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 2 pass breakups. That's extremely good. When you're not playing a team that has as great of an offense as Colorado does, that is going to fare you extremely well. I think that TCU needs to go back to the drawing board and now focusing more on their cons. They need to tackle better. I cannot count how many missed tackles and missed opportunities that TCU gave Colorado by missing a tackle, missing an assignment, taking too shallow of a pursuit angle. Colorado was just flying out there and TCU was not able to stop them. And Colorado had multiple big play touchdowns that TCU could have stopped, but they missed the tackle, they missed an assignment, or they just were not in the right place. On top of that, I felt that TCU was playing way too soft in the secondary. They were giving Shedeur Sanders way too much space to be able to dissect them across the middle. Like, I was watching it, it would be a 2nd and 2, and the corner and the slot corners would be 7 yards off of the receiver. Literally, you could have they could have just thrown it straight to their wide receiver and picked up the first down. I don't know why they were playing so soft, especially because it's not like Colorado has these big wide receivers. Like, I felt like they could have played some press man and had a better time of, hey, you know, especially in the back half of this game, obviously just throw a safety to shadow over Travis Hunter and then have another safety to just hover the side of the field that Jimmy Horn Jr. is on and then try and get home. I felt like especially towards the end of this game, TCU was able to create consistent pressure on Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, he's a slightly more mobile quarterback. I don't like calling him a super mobile quarterback because he just isn't. But he can evade and he can maneuver in the pocket. But you were able to get home on him multiple times. That offensive line for Colorado was susceptible to a bull rush. I felt that if you would have just manned guys up, bumped them up off the line to kind of get their timing off, I felt like that would have played better in their hands. But they were playing super soft, letting Colorado, they were just trying to keep everything underneath versus Colorado. But that's where Shedeur Sanders shines. He is not this big armed, I'm gonna launch the ball 90 yards downfield every single play quarterback. He's a guy that likes to pick you apart underneath and then take his calculated shots when they open up for him. I just think that TCU, but between all of the penalties, between the missed tackles, between the soft defense in the secondary, all of these things, taking too long to switch to the run, taking too long to switch to more of a man physical game versus the wide receivers. All of these things added up to where it was the reason why TCU did not come out with this win. So in conclusion, from my TCU portion of this video, TCU went out there and showed a ton of heart. Oh my gosh. Obviously, you're at home, so you're always gonna have the crowd support, but the absolute back and forth shootout that went on during this game, every single time that I thought TCU was gonna fold under pressure, they went out there and immediately responded with the touchdown, constantly coming back and putting themselves in a position to win this game, and I loved seeing that. I love seeing Chandler Morris not fold under pressure. He's gonna be a quarterback that you can ride with during this season. Obviously, you got the great running game between Amani Bailey and Trey Sanders. You have some wide receivers that a couple of guys need to step up some more and just you need to find like your true number one guy in that wide receiver core, but you have time with the backfield like that. But overall, I loved what I saw from TCU. You have a great foundation to build upon. Get rid of some of those early week penalties. Start tackling a little bit better and make your adjustments quicker. And I think that TCU, they're not going to make it to the college football playoffs again, but I do see them finishing off as somewhere in the 20 to 25 range in this year's college football rankings. I think that TCU has a chance to be a very good team. They can maybe even upset a bigger team a little bit later on during the season, but they just have some of those early season penalties, missing tackles, just a lot of the things that you see from teams early on in the season. They just need to clean those things up, and I think that TCU can be a very viable team to watch moving forward. And now the reason why everybody clicked on this video, we're gonna be breaking down Colorado, and oh my gosh, did Colorado live up to the hype. Colorado came into this game as a 21-point underdog. If you did not bet on this game, I didn't, so don't feel too bad for what I'm about to say, but that is insane that you did not bet on this game. If I would have bet on this game, obviously what I'm about to say is gonna sound like, oh, of course you did, because like, obviously I'm making this video after the game happened. If I would have bet on this game, I would have bet Colorado plus 2.5. That is exactly where I would have had the line at. They weren't gonna win by more than that, but I would have set the line as Colorado plus 2.5. To have Colorado as a 21-point underdog is insanity, absolutely insanity. All you had to do was just bet the under and you would have won. Like, that's easy money. Colorado came into this game and showed some of the most heart that I have seen from a college football team in a while. To have all of the question marks, have all the microphones, have all the media focused on your team all season long, to have every single person have an opinion on why are you getting rid of all these players? Oh, they're not even going to be that good. Oh, they're just all hype. To have all of this talk around your program, to have pretty much 99% of the team have never played a single snap of football with each other, to go out there and play the game that they did. Absolute hats off to Coach Prime for instilling that winning mentality into these players. This was not an easy game for Colorado to win. I know that, I know for me watching, I knew that Colorado was going to win this game. Just the mentality that Coach Prime has and the players that they had, I knew that they were going to win this game, but how they won this game just impressed me so much. Back and forth. There was not a single time in this game where Colorado felt like they could take their foot off the gas. They had to constantly respond to a big play. Oh, okay, TCU went and scored. Now we got to go out there and score. TCU scored again. Okay, well, we got to go out there and score again. We fumbled the ball. Okay, now we got to go make a stop. They constantly had an answer to whatever TCU threw at them, and then whenever their defense wasn't able to make up for it, their offense more than made up for it. And guys, I'm gonna call it right now. Colorado seriously has two Heisman level players on their team. Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter proved that they are two of the best players in the entire country. Like, I know that there was a lot of like, oh, they're just from Jackson State, you know, like they don't play quality competition. Yeah, it's all talk. These are two of the best players in the entire country. Shedeur Sanders went 38 for 47, throwing for a school record 510 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. And then Travis Hunter did absolutely everything for this team. At the wide receiver position, he had 11 catches for 119 yards, converting some of the biggest 3rd and 4th down conversions in this entire game. And then he also had 3 tackles with 1 pass deflection, 1 interception, and was just an all-around dog on the field. Honestly, Travis Hunter almost had 2 picks in this game and was just a pure lockdown corner. Now, if you want to skip forward a little bit, you can. I'm gonna take a second to just really break down Travis Hunter. I have been covering high school and college football for a while now. This is my 7th year covering high school and college football. I do not think I have ever seen a player who is as electric and impactful to a team than Travis Hunter. There was a lot of hype around Travis Hunter coming out of Collins Hill High School. He was the #1 player in his class. He was the first player to, you know, the NIL era was starting to come in, you know, there was a lot of question marks around Travis Hunter. Was he going to play wide receiver? Was he going to play corner? Was he going to play both sides of the ball? Is he going to go to Florida State? Is he going to go to Jackson State and go play with Coach Prime? Okay, is he going to go to Colorado now? There was just so many question marks surrounding Travis Hunter. For this kid to play the game that he did, I simply cannot just, I don't even know the guy, and it's like almost like I'm just so proud of him. Like, to see how many eyes are on this kid, and for him to step up and play the game that he did, I seriously am just proud of Travis Hunter. Like, this was just an unbelievable performance. Every single time that the Colorado Buffaloes needed a big first down, 3rd and long, 4th and short, you name it, Travis Hunter was that guy, and he was going out there and making the plays. He did have a touchdown that he dropped early in the first quarter. Go back and look at that play. I don't think anyone's bringing that ball down. When you have to catch the ball extended out like that and then your elbows hit the ground first, it's almost impossible to be able to catch that ball. But from then on, something switched in him. He went out there and put on a master class. He truly is the best wide receiver and the best cornerback in all of college football. I do not care who you name. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the only other name that I would even want to hear on the wide receiver spot, and there's no better corner in the country. They constantly tested Travis Hunter. They were constantly trying to get him. They were trying to test him to see, okay, he's slightly undersized. Is he going to be holding? Is he going to be in the right position? Can we run past him? Every single time that they tested Travis Hunter, he stood up, locked in, and absolutely made a play. That pick that he had on where TCU was about to take the lead for the first time in this game, completely went off of his man and just extended and just ripped that ball out of the air, was one of the most beautiful things that I've seen. He almost did it again. His foot just got caught up underneath him. He almost cut underneath another in route and picked off the ball again. Like I said, Colorado genuinely has 2 Heisman level players on their team. Travis Hunter is something special though. I have not seen a player of Travis Hunter's caliber and potential in college football. I mean, there's a couple guys that you could bring up, but I mean, Travis Hunter has the potential to be better than all of them. Like seriously, like this is a generational type of player. And now focusing on the other Heisman level player, Shedeur Sanders went out there and shut every critic up. Shedeur Sanders went out there and with consistent pressure in his face, had an 80% completion rating, throwing the ball 47 times for 500 yards. There was not a single time where Shedeur Sanders even put the ball remotely in trouble. He went out there and put on an absolute masterclass and proved that he is not just Deion Sanders' son. He is not some overhyped FCS level quarterback. He is a first round talent quarterback. Now, he leaves you something to be desired in the mobility. He's able to scramble around in the pocket. As far as taking off, he's not gonna be giving you a bunch of yards on the ground. But he went out there and absolutely tore apart TCU. And again, some of the same things that I said for Chandler Morris, it was even more so with Shedeur Sanders. The pressure that has been on this kid's shoulders to go out there and every single time that TCU would respond, he would go out there and respond even louder. Every single time that they needed a first down, he would make the perfect throw. There was not a single time where he looked flustered. There wasn't a single time where it looked like the moment was too big for him. He went out there and was calm, cool, collected, put the ball where it needed to be, never put the ball in harm's way, and had just an absolutely amazing performance. Again, another player, Shedeur Sanders. Again, I don't know these people personally, but like Colorado, like I'm so proud as to how they played in this game. And the last player that I want to focus on before we really break down what Colorado was doing is, of course, Dylan Edwards. This kid, again, another one of these players that really had to buy into the Coach Prime effect. He was a 4-star running back commit. I want to say he was the 8th best running back in the country. He was going to Notre Dame. He went, and I found out that he's played with Coach Prime before when he was in youth football. He went and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna trust in my old coach. Went to Colorado and had 3 of the most explosive touchdowns that I have seen. When that kid gets the ball on the outskirts and is able to just take off, he is one of the most explosive players in the entire country. Dylan, like this offense is so stacked. I mean, we're not even talking about guys like Jimmy Horn Jr. and Xavier Weaver, who both had over 100 yards receiving. Like, this team is just so unbelievably stacked on the offensive side of the ball. It's almost disgusting. But all right, now let's get into the pros and cons of what we saw from Colorado. And I first want to focus on the cons because even though this is an amazing opening win, to go get a win versus TCU at their house to just start this whole Coach Prime Colorado resurgence was amazing, there are a lot of red flags though. Like I said at the beginning of the video, Colorado gave up 500 yards to TCU, over 262 of which came on the ground. I've been saying this from the beginning, ever since their spring game and even before that, Colorado needs more defensive line help. They are slightly undersized on the defensive line, and they're not super deep at their defensive line position. They brought in a lot of guys. A lot of those guys are not going to be playmakers. Colorado needs to be able to create consistent pressure on the quarterback, and they need to, at bare minimum, be able to stalemate the offensive line. Chandler Morris had all day to throw the ball. There was like 4 or 5 single plays on just completely sporadic defensive drives that Colorado was able to create some pressure on Chandler Morris. But for the most part, he was able to stand back there, free as a daisy, could care less about anything, and make any throw that he wanted to. Colorado needs to find a way to create some type of pressure, whether they start blitzing linebackers, whether they start blitzing corners and bringing down safeties. I do not know what they need to do, but their defensive line played poorly this game, especially third and fourth quarter. You could see how gassed that they were. Small caveat. Clearly, these offenses were scoring at a very fast pace, and so the defenses were on the field a lot longer and a lot more than normal. Taking the caveat back now. You still need to be able to go out there and perform. Now, I love that at the end of the game, they're able to create the pressure on Chandler Morris to be able to just have him get the ball to their hands and then stop TCU on that fourth down to get the ball back to where they can go out there and kneel it out to win the game. I love to see that from their defensive line. No tackle. Wait, they had no tackles for loss, no sacks. They did absolutely nothing in the backfield for TCU. They got completely dominated on the defensive line. 262 yards rushing. Like, you gave up a lot. You gave up a lot of rushing yards. Like, it was really, really bad. TCU was able to rush on them at will in this game. They seriously need to be able to stop a team's running attack, because when a team's able to run like that, it's just going to be a downhill battle. Like, you seriously, or it's going to be an uphill battle. Like, you're seriously just going to be behind the ball the entire game. You cannot count on, you might be able to, but it's not smart to have to count on your offense to put up 40, 50 points just to be in the game. Like, really think about it. Not 40 to 50 points to win by 10. Like, no, like, just to even be able to think that you could win. That cannot happen on a week by week basis. Like, Colorado's just not going to be able to keep up that level of production. They need to be able to improve that. And then nowhere near as bad as absolutely nowhere near as bad as TCU. But Colorado, they did have some penalties, 6 penalties for 35 yards, especially towards the end of the game. They were starting to get some of those pre-snap penalties, which you do not like to see. Just start to cut back a little bit more on those. 6 for 35 is a little bit more reasonable. You might even see that in a later season game, but obviously cutting back on some of those penalties. Colorado is going to thrive or die by how well their defensive line plays. They have the secondary players. They have the linebackers. Is their defensive lineman going to create enough penetration, enough pressure on the quarterback, stop the running game enough to be able to let that offense get a lead? Put some space in between them, because if not, Colorado is going to play great and they're going to be a fun team to watch, but their defense is going to let them down. So Colorado definitely on the defensive side of the ball, that defensive line, a lot of question marks. And then if the defensive line is having some troubles, doesn't always mean that the offensive line is going to have some troubles, but it's funny. You threw for 500 yards and you had constant pressure in your face. Again, like I said, TCU had 4 sacks in this game. And Colorado's offensive line, especially their left tackle, they might need to go back to the drawing board with their left tackle. He was getting beat pretty frequently. Shedeur Sanders can work on stepping up into the pocket a little bit, but when both your left and right tackle have been blown back 7-8 yards, and then your front 3, your guards and your center are getting pushed back as well, there's not really a pocket to step up into. Colorado needs to continue to lock up their offensive line. To me, that's more of a repetition thing. They have a lot of guys who, they've never played with each other. Again, this is just one of the realities of when you have a team that's been patchwork together. Especially for an offensive line, you need that camaraderie. You need the familiarity of like, hey, I already know what you're gonna do. I know what you're gonna do. We all know what we're doing. That's gonna come with some time. If Colorado is able to secure up their offensive line some more, Maybe even create a little bit more of a running lane when Alton McCaskill, when he comes back, that's going to be another weapon that Colorado's going to have on that offensive side of the ball. But they need to improve their offensive line, and then their defensive line is that they just need not a complete overhaul, but they need to find a way either get on some runs and get better conditioning, or create some different schemes. Like I said, maybe even get some corner or safety blitzes just to give the offense some different looks, because you cannot go a whole game without creating no pressure on the quarterback and no pressure on the running backs. Like that's just not going to get it done. But that is my breakdown of Colorado. All in all, I loved everything that I saw in this game. To go out there, play a team of the caliber of TCU at their house and come out with the win the way that they did it, not backing down, responding to every single challenge that TCU threw at them. I absolutely loved it. I loved what I saw. There's a lot of improvement that both teams need to make, but overall, both of these teams are going to be very scary to play against later on in the season. But I need to hear from y'all. Comment down below, what are your thoughts on this game? Tell me, do you think that Travis Hunter could win the Heisman this year? Do you think that Shedeur Sanders could win the Heisman this year? How impressed were you with Chandler Morris and the TCU running attack? They went out there and absolutely balled out. How well do you think that Colorado's going to do when they get to the Big 12? I want to hear all of your thoughts down below. Leave this video a like, comment down below, and hit that subscribe button and turn your notifications. We're going to be making these What Did We Learn videos on all of the major games each and every single week this college football season. So guys, be on the lookout for that. I love and appreciate all y'all. This was an amazing and just a fun game to watch. Hope that y'all have a super blessed rest of your day, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Ciao.